Mums with Hustle podcast, episode 495.
Welcome to the Mums with Hustle podcast, where you'll discover everyday mum entrepreneurs killing it in their industry. Learn the secrets you can replicate to create your own success with your host, Tracy Harris.
Hey there, friends. I had no idea that I was going to jump on the mic and share this episode with you, and it's a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about why I don't leave my husband lists for parenting when I'm away. And I never have. I'm going to be sharing with you reasons why I have not and will not. And I'm also going to just say that I know for a lot of women, it's actually considered normal or quite standard practice that before you go away, whether it's on a night out with your friends or to a business event. And I'm even going to say that for some people listening to this, it's likely the reason why you're not even part of a mastermind or why you don't go away on any retreats is because of this feeling of like, it's either too hard, like it's too hard. I'm going to have to leave all the lists for all the things, and that's exhausting. Or my husband can't parent without me sort of vibe. Or heaven forbid, like the kids aren't going to be taken to their sports activities, or they're going to turn up to school without their library book and they're not going to be able to borrow, and it's going to be just awful, right? There's some kind of fear around things not being done in the same way as you would potentially. And sometimes women stop themselves from, first of all, even just going out and having a nice meal or going to the movies with their friends or doing anything for themselves. And it most definitely holds some women back from investing in themselves at a higher level by joining masterminds or going away on retreats and things like that. Because they just think, oh gosh, like my husband's going to have to do it all or my partner's going to have to do it all. Now, whether or not you attach feelings of guilt to that, some people do, some people don't. I want to talk about why I don't leave the list. And this is just me. This is our relationship. This is our marriage. But I do believe that the reason I feel called to talk about this is because there's going to be a large amount of people listening to this episode that are going to be able to take something away that is going to move their relationship forward in a really healthy way. And it's going to help free up space, mental space, which as a businesswoman, you need in order to be your most effective and be your most creative. So first and foremost, I don't leave lists for my husband. And he does know what's happening in the week for the kids and where they've got to be and the times and things like that. So how does he know? Well, he knows because, it's not rocket science, but we have a shared calendar. So on our iPhones, we just use iCal, and we've set it up so that we've got a calendar that shares we actually just call it social. So it's where we put anything personal. And for us, we just selected that those things come up in red. And we've got a work calendar that comes up in a different color. We've got several different calendars, right? And they're all color-coded. And this is just on our iPhones on iCal. And even before we lived abroad, if you're new here, hello, we've been living in Bali for pretty much a year and a half. And the kids do have things on their schedule. They've got activities, they've got things to do, they've got times when their tutor comes to work with them individually. They've got times where they're at music. Each of our boys does 4 private music lessons a week on different instruments or vocals. They have extracurricular activities like the kids' gym. They're out and about, they're doing different things all the time. And so are we. And so these things get plugged into a shared family calendar. Now, prior to living in Bali, we had this calendar right from the get-go for our life in Australia. And I would put things on there or Carl would put things on there as well. It wasn't up to either one of us to really be responsible for putting it on the calendar. Although if it is, we both don't need to rush to go put things on the calendar. But it might just be okay, cool. It's the beginning of a school year. We've just got all of the dates and things for school. I'm going to go ahead tonight and just pop all those things in the shared calendar. And then he'd be like, okay, cool, thanks. So it could happen like that, or it might be that he does it, but he'd inform and he'd tell me he's going to go ahead and put everything on the calendar. So, what would be on there if we weren't living here in Bali, because I know the majority of people are not, it would be things like, when is the youngest's library day? Or when is the eldest library day? When is each of their sport days? When is each of their extracurricular activities? Like anything and all the things would just go on the shared calendar so that we both had visibility over our family's week. It wasn't just something that I get to know or I hold the keys for. No. And that's because from the very beginning, we decided that we are co-leaders in our family. There's no, I'm the boss and he's like an employee and he's just got to follow what I do in the household. Nope, we are co-leaders in our family and home life. We're both equal leaders in parenting. And it was about 2 years into me having this business that Carl decided that he wanted to quit his corporate job. And he absolutely loved his job, his career. He didn't have any reason to quit that was coming from the company that he worked for. He was really happy. He was thriving there. But he really longed to be an equal partner in parenting with me and for our children to see him as an equal parent. And, we had discussions about this and we both just thought, okay, why does the society that we live in say that the primary parent has to be the mother? Because he had a little bit of FOMO. He was like, I want to also be there in the trenches, in the mess. I want to experience the full spectrum of parenting. The highs, the lows, the tantrums, all of it. The parent-teacher interviews, the reading groups at school, not just the stuff on the weekends and things at 7 p.m. at night when he'd walk through the door from corporate. He really wanted that full experience that I was getting as well. So probably before any accountants or anyone else would make that decision to, have him walk away from corporate to join me in the business, which I guess most people refer to as retiring your husband. You could say that, but also no, because financially that's not what the situation was. It was very much living our life by design and him saying, I want to be at home with you and the kids, even if it means taking a step back in our lifestyle or in our household budget, because what he valued and what we valued as a household at the time was truly valuing time more than money, or valuing time together more than status and career. Just knowing that we're so blessed to have each other at full health and we'll really never get this time again. So that's where that decision came from. And he's been on the podcast several times and shared that, if you want to scroll through and listen to him share that over the years. But yeah, in our home, we're both equal leaders in parenting. And for me, I trust my husband's natural abilities as a father, even if they're very different to mine, especially when they were babies. I have that trust. And I believe in his intuitive leadership with our children. So, no, I don't micromanage and I don't assume the role as the default parent whose job it is to delegate tasks when I'm absent. I don't subscribe to that. And I truly believe that by not leaving lists, I am communicating respect and trust in his ability to handle life and the kids beautifully in his own way. So it removes any sense of hierarchy and it keeps our relationship rooted in mutual respect. And we believe that mutual respect is the key to a strong partnership. So, yeah, this approach for us removes resentment. You know, it would be so easy for me to really command a really tight ship at home and be the one who knows what's happening and when for each child and assume that he's not interested or that he can't handle it or that he doesn't want to know or just insert any assumption. But yet I would be taking on that mental load, right? And at the same time, be running a business and that mental load, like it all takes space. And so what we create is the opportunity for me to harbor resentment. And we all know what a woman is like when she's filled with silent resentment. Well, it only stays silent for so long. And some people, I've had friends who have been really good at harboring resentment over years. And I mean, up to decades, multiple decades. And all of a sudden, she's over it. Like, she's out of there. But she's been walking towards the door for years because she's harboring that resentment. So for us, this complete mutual respect and that equaling a stronger partnership has removed resentment on my part and reduces friction. I'm not returning home from a night out with my friends or a weekend away or something for my business, an event, a retreat, anything like that. I'm not coming home from those situations to a list of unmet expectations or feeling like I now have to correct how things were done. Like, oh, you did this wrong. Oh, what about that? Oh my gosh, what do you mean they were late to music? Didn't you take them to sport? Like, you stuffed up. No, he just gets to be his own version of dad without feeling managed by me. And that makes our relationship stronger, healthier, and also more connected. So what we do is we model flexibility and freedom to our kids. Our children get to witness two adults operating in partnership, not one adult controlling everything. They get to experience flexibility in our routines, seeing that life doesn't fall apart when one parent is there and the other is not. Because this works both ways as well. Like when Carl goes out, he's not leaving me a list. No. I actually, before I jumped on the mic and I recorded this, he just said, can you imagine if I gave you a list? And then we both cracked up laughing. I was like, I would probably wipe my butt with your list. And then we laughed again. And he's like, yeah, there's no me giving you a list. You're just going to do things in your own way, in your own time. You'd almost feel insulted with the list, right? And I was like, I would 100% feel insulted because I'm just going to do it in a way that meets the children where they're at in any given moment. And you need to trust that I'm making the best decision for our kids at the time. And he's like, of course I am. I was like, yeah. So no, don't ever be tempted to give me a list because that builds adaptability. Like when you don't give the list, it builds this adaptability in them and the kids. And it reduces the pressure on me to have everything perfect. You know, in addition to the shared family calendar, quite often we'll say, not exactly like how I'm going to say it to you now, like, I don't know, it'll come out in its own kind of way, but we'll check in with each other, like, before I go away. And by the way, right now I'm about to go away for a whole week, 7 nights to run a retreat. And I'll say to Carl, or we'll have some kind of a conversation where I'll say, what do you need to know so that this week doesn't suck for you guys? And he may or may not have questions. And it could be things like, are we cool if they don't go to the gym twice this week and we do something else instead? I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Or, whatever. At least asking the question, I think, is really helpful. So that question is, what do you need to know so that this week doesn't suck? Or what do you need to know so that tonight, doesn't suck? Whatever it is, whatever the length of time is, just ask the question and then go from there. Another little rule that we have, and I don't even know when we came up with this rule. I don't think that we even ever sat there and intentionally said, now let's agree to not do this. I don't think it came about like that. It was just very organic. So sorry, I don't have some big story around that, but we do not message each other when the other one is away, either doing something for themselves or something socially or something for their business and personal development. We're never messaging each other talking about how hard things are at home. We're not saying so-and-so came out of their room 4 times last night, blah, 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 I'm exhausted. No, we just don't need to bring it to the other person's attention, really. It's not like, I don't know, it's just, I just don't need to tell him. I'm just like, you just go and have a really lovely time. Just go and be fully present and don't worry about us, because the truth is things aren't perfect when he's around anyway. So, or things aren't perfect when I'm around and we're both around anyway. So, if it's just a matter of talking to each other and touching base with one another, that's okay. But I do think it comes down to the intention behind it, because I've definitely been in situations where I'm away with friends socially, or I'm away with other female entrepreneurs and they've got their partner messaging them just about almost to make them feel bad. I'm just not going to sugarcoat it. Some people, it's very clear that they've just got to kind of pass on the suffering and the misery. That's not everyone. It's not to say that anytime your partner or your husband messages you with something that is a challenge or is hard, or, maybe someone threw up and they're just letting you know, I'm not saying that every single time your partner messages you, it's to bring you down. But I am saying, just asking yourself, what is the intention behind me messaging them when they're away? Is it a touching base, or is it to kind of pass on the hardness of this situation? And really, do I need to do that? Because I have been out with women and they've gotten these messages and it brings them down. They're just like, oh, I just wish he wouldn't message me, because now they're feeling guilty, I will also add that how we choose to feel when we receive these messages is really up to us as well. We can bring an attitude of, well, that's no good. I'm having a great time here, and send a picture of your delicious Wagyu steak or oysters or whatever it is you're eating. And then it's possible that he'll message back, so jealous, have a beautiful time, babe. So it doesn't always have to be so pear-shaped. But when we're in a relationship with someone, we do need to, mosquito, I just squashed that. When we're in a relationship, when we're in a marriage, we do need to know what our intentions are when we are sending messages. If someone is supposed to be out or having a break or having fun or out at work or at business, why are we messaging them? What is the intention? Is it to bring about feelings of guilt? Is it to bring about feelings of misery? Is it so that they're saying what a hero you are for holding down the fort? Because there is an emotional payoff for everything. So anyway, Carl and I just have this beautiful, unsaid understanding that we don't really message each other about the drama. We might say, hope you're having the best time, or send me a picture of your dinner if you're out somewhere really lovely. I want to see it. It's all good and it's all positive, but there's no messages to make anyone feel bad for not being there. And there's no message that's kind of creating the feeling of, oh gosh, when I get home tomorrow, I'm really going to have to XYZ, fix things up around the house, or almost expecting like you're going to come home to a bit of a down mood. No, there's none of that. And if there is, I just encourage you to carve out some time to have a conversation. Maybe setting up the calendar would help. Maybe that simple question of what do you need to know so that your week doesn't suck? Or maybe you do need to get vulnerable and say, hey, listen, I need your support to have a good time, to be present when I'm going away to work on my business or when I'm going out with my friends. So please don't message me anything negative about the baby or about the kids or whatever. Like, let him know what you need. If you do need regular messages, ask for that. If you are someone that doesn't want regular messages, ask for that. But we can't be afraid to ask. All right, so let's talk about how not leaving the lists actually frees my energy and space for me to thrive in my business. The first one is, and I touched on this, it's that mental load liberation. I am not wasting mental bandwidth scripting out every detail before I leave. I am going to protect my brain space, which enables me to stay creative, strategic, focused on my business. Every time I step away without leaving a list, I am training my nervous system to be in trust, to detach, and to focus on my own zone of genius. So I'm not saying this uniform on this day and I keep the socks in that drawer and the library bag you're going to find there and the blah, 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 blah. No, that's exhausting. Like, if I did that, I would walk out of the door exhausted. The next one is that it gives me energetic freedom, that mental load liberation, but then also energetic freedom, which equals better results. I'm not energetically entangled in my household when I'm working. And this comes from having open dialogue. It comes from me being unapologetic and able to truly assert my needs and ask and be of the assumption that my husband wants to please me. He wants to work with me. He wants to support me. So I don't hold back. I assume that it gives him pleasure to support me. So in not energetically entangling myself into the household when I am away working, my energy stays clean. Like when I go on this beautiful retreat with my ladies, because I'm just energetically there and present with them, they are going to get my most exquisite, expensive, magnetic, clean, clear, powerful energy, which directly impacts how I show up at that retreat. And that detachment fuels my capacity to make bold moves, to serve my clients, my mentees at the highest level, to hold space for them and their unraveling or whatever it is they're becoming, and to expand my success without guilt. Now, this isn't just limited to female founders and entrepreneurs. This is even, women at work, women who are employed and who do go away to work conferences and things like that. Like you should be able to rock up in those situations and be your most magnetic, have your cleanest, clearest, most powerful, mindful, present energy, because that's going to impact how you show up in your workplace. Detachment fuels our capacity to lead better, ladies. Detachment. And we need to release more of that mental load. So yeah, I don't leave lists because I'm not here to mother my husband. I'm here to thrive alongside him. And the less I control, the more freedom and success we both experience in our marriage, in our family unit, and in our business. And I'll leave with just one more point. When I give him permission to lead the kids in his own way, to parent, to father in his own way, he is getting to build his own relationship with our boys without me being there controlling everything. Our boys benefit from that. They get to have a relationship with their dad independent of me. So yeah, he may do the bedtime routine differently. He may prepare dinner differently. He may take them out for an activity that I would never do. And that's okay. It'll be different. But that is what makes it beautiful, that it's different. It doesn't need to be so rigid and so controlled. Is everybody going to be fed? Yes, they are. Did anyone die? No, they didn't. Okay, cool. We're all good. Did you have fun? Yes, we did. Were there some moments of where it was just an absolute schmozzle? Highly likely. But did we all cope? Yes, we did. Okay, cool. We'll do it again some other time. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you because we get so many questions about working together as a married couple in business, who does what. And I hear from a lot of women, especially every year when they're wanting to join my Inner Circle Mastermind or come away on a retreat with me, that they assume that they can't, or they just dread the feeling of having to prepare the whole family and household for their absence. And if we want to see more women succeeding in business, then we need to release a bit more, a lot more at home. We do. And that means assuming and inviting our husbands to have more of an active role, and also just assuming that they want to. Give it a try. All right, that's it for this one. Thank you so much for being here. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this one. I'm interested to hear if you've ever been the one to create all the lists in the past, and then did you abandon the lists and what happened? Curious to hear from you. All right, take care, and I'll see you next week on the podcast.